Why did a domestically produced fighter jet fresh from a training flight encounter an incident during the most routine phase of landing and taxiing, one so severe that the Air Force grounded all aircraft of the same model? This incident occurred within the Indian Air Force. On February the 7th, one of their LCA Tejas fighter jets, returning to base after completing training, inexplicably failed to stop after landing and careened off the runway. The pilot reacted quickly and safely ejected, narrowly escaping injury. The aircraft, however, was not so fortunate. The airframe sustained severe damage, with sources indicating it is likely beyond repair. The incident remained unreported for nearly 2 weeks before surfacing in the media. It is now understood that the Indian Air Force has grounded its entire fleet of approximately 30 single-seat Tejas fighters for comprehensive technical inspections. Although no official statement has been released, sources have indicated to media that preliminary findings suggest a technical malfunction, possibly related to brake system failure. This was no minor scrape. The aircraft sustained structural damage, described by Indian media as severe damage. This marks the third major incident involving the Tejas model. The first occurred in March 2024 during a training flight, when a Tejas crashed near Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. Fortunately, the pilot ejected in time, avoiding fatalities. Investigations suggested a fuel pump malfunction may have caused the engine shutdown. The second incident was even more tragic. In November 2025, during a flight demonstration at the Dubai Air Show, in front of a large audience, the aircraft lost control and crashed. The pilot did not have time to eject and died on the spot. Now, another incident has occurred. Although no one was injured this time, crashing 3 aircraft in just over 2 years is a frequency that would make anyone uneasy. The Tejas fighter itself has quite a story. It's a single-engine light fighter developed entirely by India over several decades, manufactured by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL. Designed to operate in high-threat environments, the project traces back to the 1980s, when India ambitiously sought to develop a domestically produced third-generation fighter to reduce reliance on imports. The development process was fraught with setbacks. Initially planned to use the indigenous Kaveri engine, the project later switched to the American General Electric F404 after the domestic engine proved unfeasible. After years of twists and turns, from project initiation to its official service entry in 2015, it took over 30 years, setting a world record for the longest fighter jet development cycle. After finally entering service, the aircraft has now been plagued by a series of accidents. Moreover, problems aren't limited to existing aircraft. Deliveries of newer models are also in disarray. India's Ministry of Defence signed contracts with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to purchase 180 more advanced Tejas Mk1A fighters, spending over 100 billion rupees. Yet delivery has been repeatedly delayed, now nearly 2 years behind schedule. The manufacturer has shifted blame to General Electric, claiming the American supplier failed to deliver engines on time. This is somewhat ironic, as the original Tejas used American engines, and even the upgraded variant relies on US components. Despite being marketed as domestically produced, its core technology remains foreign. This grounding is undoubtedly a headache for the Indian Air Force. The existing 30 single-seat variants are prized assets, the flagship of India's indigenous fighter program, and a vital component of its combat capability. Now they're all grounded, awaiting meticulous inspections by technicians. There's no clear timeline for when these checks will conclude, or when the aircraft can resume flight operations. The timing couldn't be worse. In just 2 months, this April, the Indian Air Force is scheduled to conduct a critical assessment of the Tejas Mk1A program. They were already pressing the manufacturer for faster deliveries. Now, with these older aircraft experiencing issues, safety standards are likely to come under even greater scrutiny during the evaluation. Sources indicate the Indian Air Force may be willing to relax some secondary performance metrics, but core combat requirements are non-negotiable. Adding to the confusion, conflicting accounts of the accident details persist. Some claim the pilot ejected, while others state the issue occurred during ground taxiing with no ejection involved. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited issued a statement downplaying the incident as a minor ground technical event, not a crash, and emphasized the Tejas' strong safety record among modern fighters. However, the market showed little sympathy. The company's stock price dropped significantly on the day the statement was released. The cause of the aircraft overshooting the runway is still under investigation. It could be a genuine brake failure, or some other onboard system malfunction. But with consecutive accidents, each stemming from different causes, doubts are naturally arising about the aircraft's reliability. Some analysts suggest the root of the Tejas problems lies in its international assembly. The engine is American, the radar Israeli, and the ejection seat British. Whether these high-quality components can work together seamlessly is a major question. Compounding this, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's manufacturing processes and quality control have long been criticized, making the reliability of the assembled aircraft inherently questionable. Another noteworthy backdrop: India was scheduled to conduct a large-scale Air Force exercise called Vayushakti in Rajasthan on February the 27th, intended to showcase various fighter jets including the Tejas. However, following the incident earlier this month, all flights have been grounded for inspection, making it uncertain whether the Tejas will be ready in time for the exercise. For the Indian Air Force, this is a rather awkward predicament. They had hoped to use the exercise to boost the prestige of domestically produced aircraft, but now it has become a source of anxiety. For the Indian Air Force, all that remains is to await the results of the technical inspection. Whether these 30 aircraft share a common flaw, and whether it can be completely fixed once identified, are both unknowns. For the Mk1A variants, still on the production line awaiting delivery, this incident raises questions about potential design revisions and further delays. After all, the Indian Air Force has made it clear that core combat requirements are non-negotiable, with safety being paramount. Reports indicate the Indian Air Force will establish a high-level investigation committee to thoroughly determine the cause of the accident. International reactions have been less than diplomatic. Pakistani media outlets have bluntly suggested the Tejas may become the new flying coffin. While harsh, the statistics speak for themselves. With over 30 Tejas aircraft currently in IAF service, 3 crashes in just over 2 years represent an alarmingly high accident rate. Consider comparable light fighters worldwide, such as Sweden's James 39 Gripen. While it also experienced crashes during testing, its operational safety record significantly outperforms the Tejas. How this situation ultimately resolves depends on what the Indian Air Force's investigation committee uncovers. If widespread design flaws or manufacturing issues are confirmed, overhauling these 30 aircraft will be challenging, and the subsequent 180 units may require retrofitting, potentially delaying the entire indigenous fighter program. If it's merely isolated component failures, a temporary grounding for inspections might suffice. However, judging by the pace of investigations into the previous 2 accidents, a conclusion is unlikely to come quickly. The first crash took nearly half a year to determine as a potential fuel pump issue, while the second crash during the air show remains under investigation with no definitive findings. The report on this latest accident will likely take some time as well.